Yeah, everything's a work in progress here at Storytelling on the Plains. And what, 3 years in?
Are we 3 already?
Yeah, we're starting year 3. So welcome back, Connor. Sorry we missed you last week.
It's all good.
Everything all worked out. We got a really long one today. I try not to have this many pages, but I just...
Couldn't help yourself.
I couldn't help myself. And in all honesty, today we're going to continue our series on movie theaters out here in the Panhandle. And I thought, Alliance, Sidney, and Kimball can put them together, no problem. And then I found out that there was more than what I had known about. I literally thought there had only been one theater in each town. And there was more. And hopefully, again, I worry that I still missed something because it became overwhelming. I knew that there's always been entertainment venues out here in the Panhandle and that pretty much everybody had some. I just didn't realize how many. I mean, you know how big Minutair is. It really hasn't gotten much bigger than what it was, and they had 2.
Yeah, they did.
They had 2, so that'll be next week's episode.
It was boring out here.
yeah. So they need more theaters, and it just, you don't want to leave something out. You don't want to just go, oh well, that one closed, so we don't need to. No, you still need to cover it. It was here. It helped the town or the city. And so today's going to be a long one. I don't know how much banter we'll be doing so that we can kind of stay under an hour and a half. Because we both have time constraints in our real lives as well. And I'm working on some other things. And you can see here, looking around the room, all the cleaning that's going on.
Our viewers can't, but it's cleaning. Yeah, it's all cleaning.
Yeah. And it's the getting rid of stuff,
decluttering.
Yes, yeah.
What's her name that does that? She's that girl. That's what makes you. Does this make you happy?
Oh, I don't know.
She's this famous, like a feng shui declutter person.
Oh, okay.
And that's always her line. It's like,
what makes you happy?
Like, does this bring you joy or does this bring you happiness? And if the answer is no, throw it away. Yep.
And that's kind of where I'm at. We don't use this stand thing. Mm-hmm. So another friend of ours is coming this weekend to take it away, get rid of it. We don't use it. And then the pile that's on the floor is literally, I've gone through it already, just a rough go through. And
just stuff.
And it's just stuff. I'm like, why do we have this? Why do we have this? Yeah. And if it stresses me out, I'm just getting rid of it because we don't need this stuff. And, my grandma was born in 22, so she was greatest generation. My mom was born in 47, so she was a boomer. Mm-hmm. And there's a scale, a 1 to 4 scale on hoarding, and everybody kind of falls around a 1, and that's not a big deal. Mm-hmm. Because we don't live in museums. We live in houses.
Very true.
And I am generally about a 1.5, and I grew up in a house that was a 3 to 3.5, both my mom's and my grandma's house. Mm-hmm. And my nephew helped clean my grandma's house, and then he helped me with my mom. And it got to a point where we were like, we're just selling the house as is. We cannot do this anymore. Yeah. And I made a promise to him that he will not have to do that for me and my husband. And you see our house. You probably wouldn't think that it's cluttered.
No, I don't think it is at all.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah. But I just started looking through things, and I'm like, we got this shelf here. Mm-hmm. Why do we have it? Why do we have it? I don't need it. And the same thing with, I have a couple of bricks. I should probably give them to you so you can film them for hopefully when we get everything to be some video with our podcast. I have bricks from the monument.
Oh, nice.
When they had to demolish part of the wall to do their expansion, the former superintendent let me take a few bricks, and I have an exit sign as well from there.
So here you go.
But it's like, okay, if we do video for the monument, which we easily could do, and we're hoping to get to the monument this year. It is on my list of things by maybe the end of June.
I thought we did the monument.
No, we haven't done the monument. We've talked about the monument a lot, but we have not actually done it.
Oh,
yeah,
so weird.
It's because everything is so intertwined here.
Because I keep forgetting that.
Yeah. And so after that, I'll just take it down to the monument and ask the superintendent there, do you want these? Because I don't need them. They whatever. And so I have little things like that I have because somebody gave me and I don't want. And not that I don't appreciate the gift, but it stacks up in my house. And probably the same thing will happen with my Formula One collection because my nephew would probably, like those 3 helmets right behind you, they're signed and they are worth money. And my nephew would just be like, well, I don't follow Formula One. He would throw and I told him I would find a way to come back from the grave. And then Scotts Bluff would have another ghost stories about.
Yeah, it's kind of the sad thing about things that go by the wayside.
Yeah. And so I just figured the things that are worth money, maybe in 20 years, I'll go ahead and sell them. And then I'll either blow the money or I'll just give it to my nephew because it's all going to be his. And if I can help him not go through this process again, and I'm not even anywhere near the clutter bug that my mom and grandma were. And I get why they were, but I can't stand hoarding. It stresses me out. And I haven't gone completely the other end. My house does not look like a museum, but there are things that could be improved. So I'm thinking long term because I'm 45, plan to make it to 100. Sorry, I'm 55. I got 45 years to make it to 100. And if I can get
after 100, fuck it.
Yeah, July 5th, 2070. I just need to make it to then.
Yep.
And I'll be good. But today we're going to talk about more theaters. I think this might be the longest series we've done, Connor, because this, I believe, is part 5 of 8.
Oh.
Yeah, so we got Gearing and Minutair are going to be an episode,
yep.
And then your other places like Bridgeport and Baird, those Crawford, smaller places, and then the drive-ins.
Yep.
Yeah. I had no idea when I started this, and if the newspaper had let me do this all these years ago, they easily could have gotten a 10-parter out of it, but. Whatever, man, I'm doing it now. That's right, and I'm cooler than the newspaper now. So when we started doing this series, I never thought it would expand into 8 parts, but here we are. And today on Storytelling on the Plains, we're going to talk about Alliance, Sidney, and Kimball, Nebraska. So buckle up and get ready for this one. We're going to start in Alliance. No particular reason. It's just where I started. Yeah. So please don't ever read anything into why I did things in a certain order. It's usually I have an idea, and in this case, Alliance was just happened to be the first one because Alliance, Sidney, and Kimball sound right, not Alliance, Kimball, and Sidney. To me, in my brain, Alliance, Kimball, Sidney would be alphabetical, but it didn't sound right to me, and I was like, whatever.
You can make a big loop.
Yeah. It doesn't really matter what order we do it in, so just don't ever read any of that into anything that I ever do. It's just, oh, okay, let me put this one down, and then whatever order my notes are in, that's how we go. So Alliance is home to some very cool things that we'll cover in the future, including we're going to do an episode on Carhenge.
Eventually.
Yeah, eventually. So my brother-in-law and his daughter are coming out in 3 months, just before Easter. And, they're British, so we got to take them to Carhenge.
Just to see what they think. It's like,
Yeah. So I plan on taking my camera and doing some filming there.
At least you can go and touch these. But
Yes.
you can't do it Stonehenge. You can't come anywhere near Stonehenge itself.
No, I think the solstices, they let you do it.
If you pay enough money.
Yeah, because I did see a picture this year in December. A cat was climbing on one of them, and everybody was like, oh, like they were worshiping the cat. And it was just some cat got off its leash. And yes, cats do go on leashes. Our cat originally went on a leash because he tried to run away, and we couldn't chase him. So when he wanted to go outside, we would take him outside. And the highway is literally opposite my house.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
I don't want my cat getting hit by a car. I've had that happen twice in my life, and
It's
I
not
like
cool.
my yeah.
So I'm sorry, a cat on a leash is always. It brings me joy.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's
Yeah.
maybe the ridiculousness of it all. I don't know.
Yeah, and it does look ridiculous,
It does
but
look ridiculous.
I didn't mind
Absolutely
doing it.
ridiculous. But it's fun.
Yeah. So the Alliance Theater wasn't always known as the Alliance. Its history actually begins more than 100 years ago in 1903. And this was all new info for me. I thought it was always the Alliance. So in 1903, the building was the Charter or the Charters Hotel. I don't know if the S is a typo or a mistake, or if it did have the S there. I've seen it both ways. So I just went with throughout this episode the one that I found more commonly when I saw it more often without an S. So that's what I went with. But I just wanted to let y'all know that I have seen it with an S. The Charter Hotel was formerly known as the Preston Hotel in the 19th century, but that's as far as my searching got, and I really don't have any other information on those hotels. And, we really don't have the finances to go up to Alliance and spend a week researching what hotels used to be here. So if anybody wants to, the Alliance Theater is in where the Charter Hotel is, which used to be the Preston Hotel. So at some point in time, it became a theater for performing arts, like we've discussed in all of our other episodes. Most entertainment here started as live acts. We've mentioned before places like the Midwest do both live acts and film, but a lot of the places just started as live acts. Also, from 1910 to 1914, the Imperial Theater operated in downtown Alliance, showing silent films. I'm going to be quoting a lot again from that lovely website, Cinema Treasures, because the information on this stuff is difficult to find. And one of the things I learned as a journalist is when someone has tracked down this difficult information, why go do it again? They've already done it. Cite your sources. Move on with life. It's not worth it. Even the theater's website today just spins, and I can't find much information elsewhere, and that's the Alliance Theater today. I tried 5 different browsers, and it just spins. I can't get anything to load, and eventually I got angry and just said, all right, I'm done.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I don't know what was going on. Maybe it was something with their website, but I tried 5 different browsers, so one of them should have worked. Sometime during 1914, the Charter Hotel was retrofitted to show movies, and the Imperial Theater moved in. And let me go back 2 years to 1912 and give you a little perspective of what was going on in Alliance at the time. Local movie legend Harry A. Dubuque had come to Alliance in 1912 and purchased the Majestic Theater, changing it to the Empress Theater. He then bought the Crystal Theater to have 2 theaters in town. So if you remember from our last episode, there was also a Crystal Theater in Scotts Bluff. Finally, on the competing Imperial, finally he took on the Imperial in 1916, closing the Crystal and moving Alliance from a 3 movie theater town to 2 movie theaters. he then decided to close the Empress and go all in on making the Imperial the best house possible. And
I don't know if you're talking about a movie theater or a Chinese restaurant.
yeah, I know.
Like, really?
As I'm going, I'm getting hungry. But yeah, so Alliance used to have 3 theaters, and it's really not a big enough town to support. I don't know.
Well, in 1912?
Maybe.
No, I
No,
know. I was thinking
yeah.
less. Like, I
Yeah.
was thinking maybe now, but no, 1912. I don't know.
So this guy was probably right in buying it and closing it up.
Yeah, because I think Alliance, at least from what I remember as a kid up till now, it kind of hit a point where it hasn't grown a whole awful lot. There's been
Yeah.
a lot of infrastructure, like residential infrastructure, kind of out to the north. But other than that, the town itself, otherwise, has kind of more or less stayed the same, if not shrunk. So I don't know.
Yeah. I would think World War II time, because remember, we did this story on all the airports that were out here. And I mean, Alliance still has its airport, but they had a lot more going on during World War II there, that maybe then they could support the 3 theaters. But yeah, troops make a difference. Soldiers make a difference. So yeah. Yeah, and that's probably, I mean, this guy assumed it couldn't handle 3, so he went to 2, and that was 1916. So your World War I era, but it was World War II when they really cranked stuff up out here in the Panhandle. The first showing in the Imperial Theater was on September 1st, 1914, with 2 sold-out screenings of Beneath the Lion's Paws. Its original title was Les Lions dans la Nuit, which, if I remember my French correctly, it's The Lions in the Night. So somehow,
correct you.
yeah.
Sure.
And that happens a lot, that the English version doesn't quite line up as a direct translation. So here's the description of the movie, which is classified as a short. A print ad in the Rocky Mountain News in Denver ran on June 20th, 1914, stating, "In 3 reels of gripping, thrilling, and pulse-quickening action, the thrills in this film are genuine. There are no stagey effects. If there ever was realism, it surely was here." And it's classified as a short. I don't know how shorts were classified back then, but they said 3 reels. So you're looking at 45 to 60 minutes.
Yeah, you're looking at a good decent film.
Because it was 15 to 20 minutes per reel. So I guess it's a short. If you consider a full-length movie is closer to 2 hours. To me, a short is 20 minutes.
So what was it, a nature documentary?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah.
Beneath the Lion's Paws. I mean, it all sounds good until you've watched Birth of a Nation, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's like, this seems like a good movie. Oh, wait.
Yeah. And I went over that in last week's episode because it was the Hotel, or was it the Orpheum? I already forget. It's only been a week. Showed Birth of a Nation out here, and I read a description of the film and that I get it.
Well, and have you watched it?
I have never actually seen it because I read about it, and first opportunity I had to see it, I was like, man, no, I can't.
You know, we actually watched it in college at the Cordon Bleu.
Oh.
It was because you had to take your generals there, and I think it was for an English class or something, or a literature class. But yeah, that was actually there.
Yeah, I knew that, and I went over it last week, so I won't go into detail here. But it had a lot of firsts for film, and it was revolutionary for the things that it did.
If you ignore everything.
Yeah, if you ignore all the horrific stuff that's in it. And I've never been able to get past knowing that that's there, so I've never watched it. And it's in the what do they call it when it goes copyright free? So you can
yeah, you can watch it on YouTube.
You
can watch the whole thing on YouTube, I believe.
And I just never have. Same thing with Steamboat Willie. I've never watched that too because I learned what it was, and then I was like, I don't want to watch that. I'm good. So yeah. So anyway, famed Denver architect Frank E. Edbrook was in charge of the next overhaul to the theater in 1919. It included a $10,000 Wurlitzer pipe organ. That's $187,353.76 in 2025 dollars. And, you know, folks forget that they had really nice organs and sometimes live orchestras and stuff for these kind of shows. I would almost love to have something put on for adults with a silent film. Get Nosferatu into the Midwest and then get the orchestra there. I would love to experience that.
Well, I don't know about the orchestra, but I thought they did do a silent film thing. You really have to keep track of that because they do all sorts of weird stuff.
They did one about 7 years ago, but it was for the local kids.
Okay.
Yeah, and I probably will miss it. I'll probably hear about it 3 days after it happened if they ever do it.
Yeah.
It's just, that's my life. The new Imperial Theater reopened on August 27th, 1919 with Pauline Frederick in 1 week of life, supported by 2 live vaudeville acts. And I don't really go into the movies too much about what was shown, other than the Birth of a Nation thing, just because of its significance, even if it's horrific, because I will end up down a rabbit hole, and then we'll talk an hour and a half about 1 week of life. Just
for our younger viewers, I mean, watch it under supervision if you're too young, but I mean, just maybe keep it in mind to ask your parents about. It is something to watch down. I guess I show caution to the generation and everything that's going on. Maybe that's not the right thing to say. Maybe you shouldn't go and see this movie, but I feel it really is like a good thing if you have a level head to watch, just to understand that this was a thing and that this was like the most popular movie at the time.
It was.
I mean, it was a blockbuster movie.
And it's still one of the highest grossing movies.
It is.
It is.
Yeah. It's incredible. I don't know why we keep going back to that, but
you know, and you know, I like
because it's movie theaters, and I'm sure these movie theaters showed that sometime.
At some point in time,
At some point in time, it was just 1914. I mean, it was like just the right amount.
Yeah, because the film came out in 15, and in 15 and 16, it was shown out here. So I'm sure that the Theater and Alliance probably had it.
I'm absolutely sure it was out here. Yeah.
It's just that their first film was in 14, so that's as far as I went. And I'm sure, you know. There are racists everywhere, and I'm sure they went to see Birth of a Nation, but I'm sure there were also just regular film goers that were like, oh my God, you have to see this incredible thing, and they went and saw it. And
because color was still expensive to do anything in color, and I believe Birth of a Nation, was that done in color?
No, it was black and white.
That was done black and white.
Yeah, it was like the first to do things like fade outs.
The fade outs, that's right. And it didn't do color yet.
Yeah. So it was still innovative and did things that no film had done before.
Yeah.
And I'm sure today, you know, after people watch a Marvel movie or something, they'd be like, yeah, okay, why is this important? Because nobody ever did it before. I'll give you a history lesson if you want one. And you'll have to, they're just going to kill each other over there. I don't know why, but for the last week, every day around this time, they've been attacking each other and killing each other. And I got headphones on and can't get over there to separate them. So they're just, okay. Oh, I don't know why they're doing it, but
pay no attention to the background.
Yeah. You know, one of these days we'll just start recording. I'll be like, Connor, just turn the camera on the cats, you know. And then whenever we say, hey, sorry about that, folks, we'll actually have some video of them. So in 1922, Jim E. Hughes and Ben J. Sallows bought the theater from Dubuque. and it just popped in my head, Sallows. There's still Sallows and Hughes in Sioux County. So I wonder if they were related to them. Probably, given this area. They quickly opened the Rialto Theater in 1923 because they felt Alliance should have 2 theaters. They upgraded the New Imperial in 1928, I think because there was an article in the January 19th, 1929 Movie Age. So sometimes the dates are kind of hard to figure out because there's a monthly magazine or a bi-weekly magazine or a quarterly one, so you kind of you can come within a couple of months of the correct dates, but it gets harder when you go back in time and things aren't as documented as well as they are today. The upgrades consisted of carpeting to improve the sound, along with purchasing a Pacent sound system. By October of that year, they sold both theaters to the Fox West Coast circuit, though I found references to it as Fox Intermountain as well, and after doing some digging, I believe its official name was the Fox Intermountain Theaters Incorporated, but like everything else, people shorten stuff. Like depending on your age here in town, I call it the Opera House and other people call it the Flynn Building. So it just depends on your age and what you know the building as. Although here they called it, they went all the way short with it, and I found Fox a lot, just using Fox.
Yeah, just Fox.
Yeah. So architect Walter H. Simon led the retrofit of the theater in 1937, which gave it an Art Deco style modeled after a Fox Theater in Boulder, Colorado. And I'm going to read from the article in the Alliance Times-Herald from the time. In a classy move, Harry A. Dubuque and his wife were honored guests at the reopening of the venue. The new Fox Alliance Theater opened November 23, 1937, with The Perfect Specimen supported by the Mickey Mouse cartoon A Hawaiian Holiday, a Paramount newsreel, and a popular science short subject. And for some of our younger viewers, this didn't even happen when I was a little kid. It was already done. But there used to be newsreels during the movie. You'd have an intermission, and sometimes before or during the intermission or after the movie, there'd be a little newsreel about stuff going on in the world. And especially during World War II, those things were very, very popular. And, sometimes you'd have a little cartoon with it, and I'm assuming the popular science short subject was some kind of educational science thing. And they don't do that anymore. The things we get beforehand are just, movie trailers so that you come back and spend more money on the next movie. The Perfect Specimen starred Errol Flynn. I thought about going deeper into Errol Flynn, and I'm like, no, we're not doing that.
No.
You go look up Errol Flynn. In 1945, the film Dale. I can't read today. In 1945, the Film Daily Yearbook noted that the theater could hold 869 people. According to Cinema Treasures, the house was reseated in 1956, reducing capacity from 900 to 756. It's still a lot of people in one theater. It was updated and remodeled again in 1976, which by then was operated by Commonwealth Theaters. And you'll remember that name from the last few episodes we've done. Commonwealth owned a crap ton of theaters out in this area. In October 1988, United Artists took control of all the Commonwealth theaters. And I'm going to read from the Cinema Treasures website again. In June of 1990, a balcony theater was added. By 1997, the Alliance was a triplex. It has since become a 5-screen operation. It was sometime in 1995 in which the owners connected to the old J.C. Penney building, which was freeze-frame video at one point, and expanded. Now, I've seen people say it's not a 5-screen place. It's only 4 or 3 or 1. But I went to look at the movie's website, or not the movies website, the showings like Fandango and all the other movie website things where you can buy tickets on January 5th, 2026. And there were 5 movies listed as running at the same time. So it
doesn't, if you go down to Alliance, it doesn't look like a big theater. So maybe that's why they don't think it's that big. But yeah, it must be.
Because I had looked on the weekend showing, and I was like, okay, they got the movies, but at the run times, you could probably, do movie 1, then movie 2 in the same theater. And then I was like, oh, let me check weekdays. And there were, between 12 and 1 o'clock, there were 5 movies showing. And 2 of them were at like noon, 2 at 12:15, and 1 at 12:30. Or 12:40, something like that.
They have to have
so they have to have 5. So that's my conclusion on how I believe they have 5, without driving the hour up to Alliance just to check. After all these years, some folks report the theater is haunted by those who were there when it was still the Charter Hotel.
Why not?
Yeah, I'm going to go into a little detail, and hopefully maybe I can find more detail for next October. So people claim to have heard footsteps running up and down the aisles of the theater, as well as feeling uneasy but never terrified. According to an article in the Omaha World Herald on November 12, 2002, the owner said you don't have anything to worry about. 2 people shared their experiences on the Haunted Places website, and I'm going to read them to you. So someone named Dylan Osborne said, if you go to the 9 o'clock show in the small theater, you can feel, see, and hear people tuning. I don't know what that means, and touching you. It is really creepy. And I'm like, yeah, if somebody touched me and I turned around and there was no one there, yeah, that's creepy.
Or worse, tuning you.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, you should be a B flat. No, you're an A.
Yeah.
You're not the right tune, man. Get away from me.
You need to be a C sharp.
You need to be a C sharp next time. Think about that. And it just drifts away. I mean, how would you feel about that? How would you think of yourself?
So Audie Draper commented, I didn't even think about the theater being haunted, and then I went to use the restroom. As I was doing my business at the stand-up urinal, another patron walked in behind me, passed behind me, and proceeded to the bathroom stall. I finished my business, washed my hands, and turned to see that the stalls were all empty, doors open, no one else in the restroom at all. That's creepy. I walked out with the hair on my arm standing straight up and the chilling tingle on the back of my neck, only to see that no one else was even on the staircase leading back down to the floor level. At this point, it struck me that there might be activity here. Then I researched a little further and discovered that I wasn't the only one who's experienced something strange here.
So if you're in the urinals, remember, shake twice, zip, and then look away.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say to that.
Yeah, I don't know either. Thanks for sharing.
I guess I don't know how observant I am usually when I'm in that process. Usually I'm pretty focused on what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So if there was something that creeped across my field of back vision, I'd be like, oh, okay. But I guess I wouldn't be
yeah, not enough to, yeah. And for me, because I would be in a stall, it's just, I heard somebody come in, and then if no one was there when I left, I would just be like, I must have been spacing off and didn't hear them leave, and I didn't hear the sink, so they're gross. But other than
that'd be my other thing. It's like, what, you don't wash your hands?
Exactly.
What the hell, man?
I'd be like, what the heck? Somebody
Wash
came
your
in here
hands.
and they left and they didn't wash their hands. What's wrong with you? But I wouldn't think anything more, I wouldn't think it was a ghost. I would just think it was a gross person that.
I just thought it was a gross person.
So there's more haunted stories about the theater, but we'll get to those in October. And that's it for Alliance. So they've had a pretty good theater history, and it's still going on to this day. Our next town is Sidney, Nebraska, and many early towns in the Panhandle began their entertainment venues as opera houses and Sidney was among those. Their opera house was built in 1883 as an entertainment hall and was the first place most locals got their first look at this burgeoning film and entertainment industry. At the end of its 20-year lease, the Tobin family took over the building, renamed it the Tobin Opera House, and had a big reopening on November 21st, 1903. According to Cinema Treasures, in 1908 it housed the Electric Theater playing motion pictures. It was renamed the Tobin Theater, but it was still called the Tobin Opera House. It also relied more on movies than live venues, and I get it. You know, if you watch the building get built and it was the Opera House, doesn't matter that they're showing movies there. You've known it for 20 years as the Opera House. It's always going to be the Opera House. So if anyone ever does any more investigating into that,
it's Twitter
both.
Forever, man.
Yeah.
Twitter forever.
So it also hosted 4 sellout screenings of Birth of a Nation on October 21st to 22nd, 1916. There isn't much information out there, but Cinema Treasures notes that it stopped showing movies after the December 12th, 1924 screening. But yeah, another place that showed Birth of a Nation. And my guess would be, let's just say, for example, because Scottsbluff is the biggest town and I think always has been in the Panhandle, let's just say Scottsbluff got it first, and then a week later, maybe they showed it for a week or two, and then, Sidney gets it, then Kimball, then Alliance. It makes the rounds. That's how the reels do things, and you have to book your weeks, and it's easier just to travel around the Panhandle and then ship it back to California than get the movie, ship it to California, ship it back here. Somebody probably just hopped on a horse or in a car and took it to the next town. Until it went dark in 1930, the Tobin Opera House showed live events which included dances and boxing. I found a copy of the Saturday, June 1st, 1912 Sidney Telegraph, which noted, "A boxing exhibition has been arranged between Fred Parks of this city and Kid Brown, a North Platte scrapper." I don't know anything about boxing. The bout will take place in the Tobin Opera House in this city, Tuesday, June 18th. That just kind of makes me laugh, because if it's in Sidney, it's in the Sidney paper, and it's taking place in the Tobin Opera House, you don't need to write "in this city." We already know it's in this city. And I don't think people were stupid back then. It's just the way they wrote.
It's how they wrote. Well, they still do that today.
Yeah,
you'll see silly typos like that.
And if I wrote anything like that, the first time I did it, my editor would probably delete it. The second time I did it, I would get yelled at. And if I ever made a third time, yeah, I didn't make a third time. I learned my lesson. The venue, which is listed as 1012 to 1022 Jackson Street today, was torn down by the WPA, which is the Works Progress Administration, in December 1938, and there isn't too much more about the place. Even its location is questioned. And the WPA was a sister program to, I actually think the CCC was under the WPA, but I'm not totally sure. And the CCC, built the roads to the monument and the tunnels, and did a whole bunch of other public works stuff, because it was a giant works program that Roosevelt instituted during and after the Depression, to give people jobs.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, CCC stands for the Civilian Conservation Corps.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for remembering that, because I was like, what's CCC again? Which is really sad, because Irene has written many articles on the CCC, and it went out of my head.
Well, and it's funny because the Opera House, that's now the Custer State Park Playhouse, it's called the Playhouse, was the old CCC barracks for the Black Hills. So when they were doing all the trails and stuff, that's where they used to live. So the old dorms are all still there. And
neat.
I wouldn't say they're perfectly preserved, but you can go there and see kind of what it was like there.
I missed that while I was up at Custer. Well, we want to go back to Custer anyway, so now I'll make a point of looking the next time I go. And when I went up to South Dakota, oh my gosh, now I forget the name of the town that I went and stayed in. It's northeast or northwest of Rapid City. It's not the gambling towns. Anyway.
They said Lee, Rushville, Hill City, Keystone.
No, still a little farther north than that. I went into Wyoming and went north.
Oh, okay. So you're going like more into Sundance and that kind of area.
Yeah, but then you jump back into South Dakota. I'll remember it at some point in time. Anyway, they have a restaurant there that was built by the CCC, and there was a sign there.
That wasn't Belle Fourche, was it?
No. That makes me... it's not like I spent 5 days hiking there. And I can't...
Well, there's not a lot of towns left out there.
I know.
I was trying to name all the ones that are out there.
And there's not really a lot there. I drove and drove and drove, and, there's nothing. No. And then I stopped. I followed the directions. I stopped. I turned left. There was a restaurant. I stopped, and I got food. And then, like 3 miles down the road was this resort or this hotel that I stayed at, and there's nothing but hiking around and this restaurant. And there's like, it would take 15, 20 minutes for a text message to go through. And so every morning I would text my husband and I'd be like, all right, I'm going hiking on this trail today. And then as soon as I left the hotel, I had no signal the rest of the day. Yeah, and so he would, because it's in a valley. And they told me if I climbed to the top, which I did, that I would have a cell signal, and I didn't. But I did just, for safety's sake, because I'm up there for a week away hiking, and no one else knows me. So every morning I just texted them, this is where I'm hiking today. This is how long I plan to be gone. And then sometimes the hikes were shorter than I thought they were. Okay. So I would go back to the hotel, go pee, and then text them again and be like, hey, I'm done with this one. I'm going to go on this one now. So that in case I didn't turn up, at least he could tell the cops, well, this is where she was going hiking. True. You might find her body in a ravine somewhere there. But anyway, the CCC built the restaurant at that place, and it makes me mad that my brain just can't remember those things. So I'm going to read from the Cinema Treasures website again. The site of Tobin's Opera House is just outside the boundaries of the Sidney Historic Business District, but the NRHP registration form for the district nevertheless notes that it was located on the north side of Jackson Street between 10th and 11th Avenues. So the NRHP is the National Register of Historic Places, and both Sidney and Alliance have been placed on the NRHP for their business districts. As the buildings on the west side of 10th Avenue at Jackson are part of the historic district, and the corner of 11th Avenue is occupied by the Elks Lodge and City Auditorium building erected in 1929 before the Tobin was demolished. The only place it could have been was on the parking lot across the street from the Cheyenne County Courthouse. That would be somewhere in the range of 1012 to 1022 Jackson Street. And I have seen 1012 more often than 1022, but if you go look at Google Maps today and you look down on it, there's a big parking lot there. Yeah, it totally could have been there. And I've been to that courthouse many times covering newspaper stuff, so I know the area, and yeah, there's plenty of room there for an opera house. So when you look at the map, though, in my opinion, it's either the parking lot or the Elks Club, and it possibly could have been both. When you look at the two lots, it could have gone on to both of them. Mm-hmm. The other theater in Sidney is the Fox Theater. What everyone knows is the Fox Theater in Sidney got its start at another location. It began as the USA Fox Theater at 1020 Illinois Street. The current theater is 1120 Illinois Street, so just a block away. According to Cinema Treasures, the USA Theater was built during the big theater boom around World War I as a diversion from the horrors of war. It was opened on August 11th, 1917, with William Knight in The Blue Streak and Billy Ritchie in The House of Terrible Scandals. And I want to go find that movie. I want to know what The House of Terrible Scandals is. It just...
House of Terrible Scandals.
If I ever find it and watch it, I'll let y'all know what it's about. Further improvements were made not long after, and it reopened on February 8th, 1919. It had been equipped with a Wurlitzer Theater pipe organ. So again, Wurlitzer was the deal at this time. The facade once lit up at night with light bulbs on the facade. The opening night's film was Dorothy Phillips in Heart of Humanity, supported by Professor Manby on the Wurlitzer pipe organ. I have played around on a pipe organ before. They're pretty cool. You need a lot of skill.
I wasn't allowed to touch a real pipe organ.
Oh, I forget where I was. Oh, was it in France? I forget where I was. I was on a school trip. It had to be that trip to France, and they let us touch it, and you know, you got to jam on the keys, and you got to do stuff with your feet and your hands, and still be able to open this, that, close the other thing. Oh my gosh, you're doing like 90 things at once. It ain't just playing on the organ. Yeah. So the theater closed again on November 15th, 1929, and opened again with Western Electric Sound on Thanksgiving. It was renamed the Fox Theater and was known locally as the Fox.
The Fox.
A decade later, on June 7th, 1941, or 1940, I'm not... I've just given up on these kind of things. If it's 40, 41, it's not that I don't care, but it's going to literally take me 2, 3, 4 hours to figure it out. So I'm just giving you both dates. It could be a typo. It could not be a typo. Who knows? It's not important. So a decade later, it was given a makeover into the streamlined modern style. Wallace Beery in 20 Mule Team was the picture shown on that reopening. It remained this way until it closed on October 15, 1951. The last picture was Hedy Lamarr and in Samson and Delilah. I always get stuck on Hedy Lamarr because if you've seen Blazing Saddles, you started to smile when I said I get stuck.
Hedy Lamarr.
Yeah. I just, you know, my husband does. My husband does not like that movie, and I'm
can't imagine why. Why a British person would not like that movie? I don't know if British people would like any of Mel Brooks's movies.
No, he does not like Mel Brooks at all. Doesn't think that not,
But to be fair, does he think National Lampoon's the funniest thing ever? Not National Lampoon, Monty Python.
No, he actually hates Monty Python too.
Oh, well then, okay.
Yeah,
then
it's
I
him.
don't know what's wrong with that.
It's him, yeah.
So I would think like if you hate Mel Brooks, and you must really like Monty Python.
Yeah.
But,
I'm watching Young Frankenstein with him. And I love that movie. And he didn't laugh once. And he was like, it's okay. So like a month later, I was like, do you feel like watching Young Frankenstein again? Well, if you want to watch it, I'll watch it with you. And I'm like, yeah, he hates it. So if I'm home alone and I got some time, I'll put the movie on by myself. But
I feel like the producers, that'd have been a fun one.
Oh, he hasn't seen that. Maybe I can get him to watch it one day. Yeah.
That might be like, oh crap! What the heck are you making me watch?
Yeah, I also hadn't seen The History of the World Part 1 in probably 2 or 3 decades.
That's my favorite one.
And my friend from Russia, I'm like, oh, this is a great movie, and then I forgot there were so many sexual jokes in there. I'm like, oh, shit. And he was just like, okay, when did this come out? Okay, I get why that would have been funny in the 1980s. And I'm like,
see, I had a Russian friend who absolutely loved Mel Brooks, who actually introduced me to I don't know if maybe it's a Mel Brooks film. It's called 12 Chairs. Is that Mel Brooks?
I think so.
But that was one that she introduced me to. I never saw that one before, and we just always had a great laugh together. She had a great sense of humor, but she was from Russia. and she absolutely loved Mel Brooks.
See, I think I'm just hanging out with the wrong people and married the wrong people because he.
I married into good humor.
Yeah, there you go.
If my husband didn't have a good sense of humor, I wouldn't have.
And he has a good sense of humor, but he just doesn't like the films that I do. You know, that's all right.
Those are like some of the classic stuff.
I know.
Monty Python or Mel Brooks. Like, I don't know where you start.
Yeah. And he likes a lot of science fiction, so I can show him like the worst science fiction movie ever, and he will enjoy that 1,000 times more.
So does he like the old BBC Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
No, he didn't like that either.
See, it's okay. Okay, no, you lost me.
Yeah. I don't get it. He's a huge Doctor Who fan.
But that's the worst. That's one of the worst sci-fi movies.
I know. I don't get it. But documentaries, we can sit all day long and watch documentaries, and he loves it. So
I love documentaries too, but they're not. Normally, they're not funny.
It's true.
There's a few that probably are. But
yeah.
So funny.
I don't get his sense of humor. There's a lot of compromise when we go see movies. Because
I bet.
Because it'll be like,
where do you even start?
All right, I'll watch that with you. Okay, but yeah, we don't have the same taste in movies, but some things we do have the same taste in. Like we're rewatching Farscape now, and Farscape is, it's one of, depending on when you catch me, it's either going to be Farscape, Firefly, or Babylon 5 are my top three. And depending on what's going on in my life, they switch around. For him, it's always going to be Battlestar Galactica, and then those other three. And then his favorite all-time movie is Highlander.
Oh, Highlander.
Yeah. But just Highlander. The other movies, the TV show, none of that exists. Just the movie. Anyway, we would have had good fun going and seeing Hedy Lamarr.
Hedy Lamarr.
On opening night, October 16, 1951, Cowboy star Rex Allen was on hand for some kind of live appearance. Along with Rex, Betty Grable's Meet Me After the Show was supported by a Goofy cartoon called Get Rich Quick. So there used to be a young man named Logan Allen that worked at the Star Herald, and if I remember correctly, Rex was either his grandfather or his great-grandfather. Anyway, that's just a dumb side note. I want to know what Goofy's Get Rich Quick is.
Oh, I think I've actually saw that.
I
think I've seen all of the old Disney cartoons because when I was a kid, the Disney Channel was still going through a lot of its phase changes, so it didn't quite know what it wanted to do, when it wanted to do it, or who it wanted to interact with.
Yes.
So they did this early movie, like if you got up at like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and which I did up till school, they would show, the old Mickey Mouse Club, the old Mickey Mouse cartoons, and these were all of them. They even showed a couple of times before it became a real problem, some of the old World War II propaganda Disney cartoons, which were quite dark, especially like the Looney Tune ones, where they straight up showed Hitler and fighting the Nazis. But even Disney got into that too. They got into one, I think, with Goofy or Donald. I think it was a Disney cartoon of somebody getting pulled into being a Nazi. I don't know if that was Goofy a cartoon. It was someone getting pulled into that ideology and like a warning. I'm pretty sure that was Disney that did that. But there's a lot of those cartoons that, you don't see. They're considered locked up, though they're not locked up. You can look them up on YouTube. They're free to watch. All of them, even the racist ones, are free to look up.
It's just you're not going to see them in a theater or on the Disney Channel.
You're not going to see them on Disney Plus, which is a shame because they should actually, I think, give out the warnings and recognize their culture and give it out in its context. There was, not to change the subject too much, but there was another show early in the morning that did just that. It was a critique of cartoons.
Oh, okay.
And it was like a guy that would, kind of like what you and I are doing, he would talk about a cartoon, the year, the style, the directors exactly what was going on in that time of history, and then they play the cartoon. And I thought that was wonderful because that gave you like everything you needed to know about that cartoon. And another thing, they don't do that anymore.
The A&E channel, when A&E first started, it was arts and entertainment, and before they showed films, they had like a 10-minute thing where they went into the history of the film and what they were showing and why this is in here. And you might see, or not you might, you'll see this in the theater, this is why, or in the movie, and this is why this, that, and the other thing, you know. So the thing that comes up today is, the Porky's movies. Those would never be shown. And also, I remember seeing Pretty in Pink. And 16 Candles. I think it was 16 Candles where a character straight up, you don't see it happen, but he raped the girl.
Yeah.
And that did not age well. And it sucks because the rest of the movie is kind of okay, but...
And it's still considered a classic.
Yeah.
Weird.
But if you had that on the old A&E channel, it would explain this is going to happen. They don't actually show it, but it was played off as a joke. And I don't think it was a joke. I mean, those movies came out in the 80s when I was a teenager. They were geared straight at me, and I didn't.
You guys, I always told my mom, you guys were crazy with your films back then. And what was with all the boobs?
Everywhere. Weird science.
They just popped up everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like, no wonder I turned gay. You guys like desensitized me like right away. It's just like every 5 seconds with your guys' films, there's tits falling out. It's just like, what the hell? Like, what? And it has nothing to do with the film.
No.
It's just there. It's like, okay, here. It's like, okay.
Okay, thanks. All right.
I can't name half of the movies where just like a pair of boobs fall out. I'm like, that has nothing to do with what just happened.
It was just gratuitous nudity.
Yep.
Like, can we
Absolutely
do some
gratuitous, especially with horror films.
Yes.
It's terrible.
Yep. And that's how we progressed. We're so enlightened.
Well, now, but now it's backfired because now there are movies. I guess it's gotten better in my generation because now you have more of it. It's put into more proper context.
Yes.
Where you would expect that to happen. Yeah. And you would expect the context to play out, and it's not so gratuitous. It's not so random.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Game of Thrones did get a little over the top ridiculous, but other than that, for the most part, they tried to show what needed to be shown when it needed to be shown. And it wasn't just like in your face.
Yeah, and I skipped that entire series. We tried watching it. We Paul got through 3 episodes, and I made it through the first season. And then I was reading more about the series and the things that happened, and I was like, mental health wise, I'm just going to stay away from it.
Yeah, if you're prone to or triggered by anything in that nature, probably just stay away from George R. R. Martin films because he's pretty graphic.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that being said, it's funny because after like the 3rd or 4th one, they tone it down. Because even everybody's like, for crying out loud, stop. It's like, we get it. It's like, why does every other scene have to be 2 people going at it? It's like, come on. It doesn't. Let's get to the dragons. What about the dragons? Wasn't this supposed to be about the dragons?
Oh, gosh. So back to Sidney. The Fox Theater was built by architect C.D. Strong and designed by Mel C. Glatz for the Fox Intermountain Amusement Corporation. I'm not sure if amusement had 2 U's or if I just got stuck on the key. In case anyone hasn't been paying attention, these behemoth companies have been around forever. It happens today. What was that company that just filed for bankruptcy today? They're it's some big behemoth company, and Saks Fifth Avenue is one of their subsidiary companies, but they own a whole bunch of other big name things. I don't know. But we see that all the time. Company X buys Company Y, buys Company Z, and then some of them are shuttered.
And this Fox, this isn't the Fox. like Fox News?
No,
Fox?
I didn't look far enough, but I think it might have. I don't know if it was, but I think it might have been part of 20th Century Fox. I don't know if it was. It might have been a subsidiary of that, but it was basically a corporation that owned a crap ton of theaters out west.
Okay, so it could have been Fox.
It could have been. Yeah. Just this is what it was called at the time, and I believe they were based in Colorado at the time, but that was just the company that owned movie theaters. So it would also make sense if it was, because you have 20th Century Fox, and if you have a subsidiary company that owns theaters, they're going to play the Fox movies.
Yeah, it would make sense.
Yeah.
But it could also make just as much sense that has nothing to do with Fox. So.
And if you think about it too, if you say Nintendo, you think of video games, that Nintendo corporation has been around for about 5 centuries. So they haven't always been making video games. So it could be. I honestly did not look further into that. According to the theater's website, the new theater, the Fox Theater, was a Quonset hut-style building with a rustic-style decor. All seating was on a single level. An unused feature was the projection booth located above the concession stand, which had large windows allowing people to see directly into the booth. That, I think, would be cool. For me, that would be far cooler than seeing the movie.
There's so much cool architectural designs that I wish never went away.
Yeah.
I really do. There's just some neat ideas in the past. Well, you and I talked about in our last episode just how they set up the foyer of the theaters. They don't do it quite like that anymore, and it's really sad.
Yeah,
they don't have that.
There was definitely an art to it and art with it. So skipping ahead to the 1970s, because everything went cool for the next 2 decades, on February 11th, 1974, it was noted that Paul Corey has taken over the operation of the Fox Theater, Sidney, Nebraska. He also operates the Fox Center and Starlight Drive-In in Sterling, Colorado. And we're not going to Colorado because that's not what we're covering. But dude had a lot of movie places. At some point in the 70s, the owners at the time, Denny and Sherry DeNovelis, turned the Fox into a twin-screen theater. Each side held 200 people. I don't know the order in which these folks owned it. I don't know if Corey owned it first or Denny and Sherry first. I couldn't get an exact date for them, but that's okay too. There are a few attempts to keep the theater going, but the American National Bank claimed bankruptcy on it, and it was closed through most of the 1980s. According to the theater's website, in 1987, the American National Bank in Sidney took a chance on a young man from Delta, Colorado, named John Phillips, who still owns and operates the Fox Theater today. So their chance played out. The theater went completely digital in October 2013. John and his wife Kim are the longest running owners of the theater, and they currently employ 10 people. The Fox today is a twin screen and shows first run movies. So that's your theaters there in Sidney. They were able to keep the theater open. It's still going today. Last on our list today, as we continue down this big, huge, long episode, we're going to switch to Kimball, Nebraska. And again, I need to thank the folks at the good folks at the Good Hand Theater for their detailed history of the cinema in Kimball. Their website has so much information. They went to great depths to document the history of their theater. So,
and this theater, the Kimball Theater, I think is a little special because it's hidden in a way. It's not like the Alliance. It's not like the Midwest. It doesn't have a marquee. Not that I ever saw. It doesn't have like an outer marquee.
Yeah,
it has like a sign, but it doesn't have a marquee on it. So you can't And it's next to a gas station.
Yeah.
You can't tell.
Yeah.
For the longest time, I couldn't tell.
I don't know how many times I drove down there before I finally paid attention to the sign that said
it's right there.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, that's the theater. Oh, yeah, and it's telling me what movie is playing. Yeah, it just blends right into the scenery.
It does. It's not like your typical theater that juts out. It doesn't have a huge sign, doesn't have a huge marquee.
Yeah.
It's very, very blended in.
Yeah. So those good folks at the Good Hand Theater saved me a lot of time. Normally, I don't mind wading into the deep end with anything, especially when there's little history out there and I need to dig to find it. But we're on part 5 of an 8-part episode, and I have to admit I'm starting to get tired of theaters. And so
we're just gonna go through this, guys. Sorry, yeah. We're running.
Yeah, and so I'm like, oh, these guys did all the work for me. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. So I really do appreciate the folks that did the legwork behind me. And if I ever meet any of y'all, I'll give you a hug and thank you. That's the best I can do because we've only made $1.44 off of our podcast.
We will spend that on some of your popcorn.
Yeah. We're going to start, though, with the American Theater, which was located at 123 South Chestnut Street. The American opened on Thursday night, March 7th, 1918. In April, so I'm going to read a quote here, just because I don't want you to think I wrote this. In April, Noah G. Brewer was listed as proprietor. The theater was billed as Kimball's modern playhouse. The people of Kimball were proud of the new theater, and their appreciation was shown by the excellent business the management received. The first features were shown on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday only. In December 1918, admission was 35 cents with an additional 20-cent war tax. And I neglected to go look up how much that 35 cents is today, but...
Well, yeah, I would think, so that's 55 cents.
Mm-hmm.
I would think that might be a little steep.
Yeah.
I don't know.
In 1918?
In 1918.
Yeah. But you know what? 1918 people also were willing to give to the war effort, so...
Well, you said it before. It was... In World War I and World War II, it was just a great time of keeping morale up, especially for America, because throughout both wars, most of America didn't necessarily always see the point of doing it. I mean, they were both European wars.
Yeah.
We needed a lot of encouragement to make sure we were doing the right thing, because there was plenty of us. It's like, what are we doing? Why are we fighting a war overseas? So.
Yeah. So although no advertisement was published listing the first picture shown in the theater, the feature showing the following week was The Learning of Jim Benton, 6-part triangle. It was 2 reels of comedy. The advertisement did list a special program Sunday evening. Andy Borgeson, a local painter, did the paintings. One was a reproduction of the Deschutes Falls in Deschutes River near Redmond, Oregon. I apologize if I said that wrong, where W.S. Rodman, owner of the theater, lived before coming to Kimball. Another was of Fern Lake in Estes Park. There were a total of 8 scenes in all. The American Theater was located at 123 South Chestnut. Monograms and More was located here in 2001, and now the current home of Java Blend. So in 2025, Java Blend is there. Sherrill Vogler came back from World War I and bought a half interest in the American, while Norman Long bought the other half. Norman just happened to be married to Ruth, Sherrill's sister. They ran the theater until they sold it in May 1923 to Marie Goodhand, who had moved from Ord, where she owned and managed the Gem Theater. And so you also got to think about, we're talking, we're still turn of the 20th century. It's not common for women to own lots of property and businesses and then come to the other end of the state and buy some more. I'm actually listening to the book the death of Raymond Yellow Thunder. The incident is kind of where, I don't want to say it's where AIM got its start, but where a lot more people were familiar with AIM. And they were talking about the lady that was the owner and editor of the Gordon newspaper. And when she had bought it, it was uncommon for a woman to own a newspaper then. And so I wrote her name down because I would like to do an episode and learn more about it. But basically, something happened to her husband. I think he was in a car accident, and he was never able to work again. And so she's got to work. And so she bought the newspaper, and she raised 2 kids. And then her husband died young, and she did the paper till she died. But this is a neat little story, and it just brought up again that at those times it wasn't common for women to own things. So Marie Goodhand owned a theater in Ord, Nebraska, and then she comes out to the western end of the state and buys another one, and it still bears her name to this day. So the Fraternal Hall became known as the Community Theater. Its first movie was Moon of the Lady Letty with Dorothy Dalton and Rudolph Valentino. Another big name. Yeah, we're not going to get into Hollywood gossip.
Is it the Moon? Not what you wrote? Moon of the Lady Letty? Or is it Moron of the Lady Letty?
I cut and pasted it, so I think it was Moron.
You said Moon.
Oh, did I?
You
Okay.
said Moon of the Lady Letty. That's
Yeah, see, I didn't want to say the word moron.
Moron of the Lady Letty.
Yeah. Oh. You know, Connor, I proofread these too. I proofread
okay.
them, I send them to you, and then I proofread them
again. I
again.
get it at all. I'm dyslexic and a hopeless case when it comes to reading, but I'm like that. If that's how you spell moon, then I've been called Moon all my life. It's like, oh, I'm Moon.
I'm a moon.
I'm a moon. You weren't calling me a moron at all.
So Sherrill sold his part in the theater on February 19th, 1924 to Marie Goodhand, and Sherrill felt that the town could not support 2 theaters, except maybe. I'm
sorry, I just looked it up. For 55 cents, if this is true, that's $12. No effing way.
Yeah.
I wouldn't pay $12 to go see a movie now. Back then.
Back then, yeah.
Not even now.
True, I won't either.
You better got some popcorn. $12 effing dollars? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I could be mistaking. So I mean, because I just did a quick little, Google. But yeah, that's what they said. It was anywhere from.
And I was gonna say I thought it was around
to $12.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I was gonna say my guess would have been $10 to $12. Yeah.
But that's ridiculous. I didn't think it was that much.
And it's during wartime, where everything is scarce.
Things like cost a nickel.
Yeah, because in Scottsbluff they were way cheaper.
Is it?
Yeah.
It seemed like, yeah. That seems, no wonder, how do you support that? I have no idea.
I don't know.
That is bizarre.
Yeah, yeah.
And they had 2.
Yeah.
And again, I could be completely wrong with my calculations, but if it really was 55 cents in 1918, woof.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah, because you had the war tax on top of it. And people go nuts here. Back in 2016, the city council was discussing a hotel occupancy tax. Mm-hmm. And they were talking about it ended up failing at the time. I don't know if it later passed after I left the paper. But I made a point of telling the city council members, I just got back from a vacation in Greece. I didn't look at the tax on anything. It was just what the bill is. And they all have occupancy taxes. New York City has occupancy taxes. I don't know if they still have it, but they used to have a 9/11 tax in New York City to help pay for some things. And I never looked at it. And the tax, depending on where I was at, VAT, so just on your goods and food that you buy, there's VAT in which is value-added tax, and it's all over Europe. Mm-hmm. And depending where I was at, it was somewhere between 20 and 25% of the bill, and it's just included. But when you get the bill, it tells you what the VAT was. And it's just the cost. And I'm
Well,
there on
yeah.
vacation, and I
Well,
take money to cover my expenses while I'm there.
I guess it's odd. It makes me think that, our poor farmer society out here wasn't as poor as I thought they were, I
Yeah.
guess, is what I come down to.
Yeah.
I mean, because if they had 2 sustaining theaters and your common Joe could afford $12 for a movie ticket, I mean,
Yeah.
seems incredible out here. Doesn't seem like there was as much poverty and as much of a heart-struck life that I thought.
Yeah.
if you could do stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't think I've paid that much for a movie ever. I think like $10 was it. And then I'm not kidding, I used to go to the theater every weekend. I would see a show. And if I had a job where Tuesday, Wednesday was my days off, then I would
Sure.
go Tuesday, Wednesday.
And I'm sure we're being a little hard on the movie theaters. I'm sure there was like coupons and specials and
Yeah. But
things like
it's-
that. But still, well, yeah. I guess it makes me reevaluate how our society was as far as money.
Yeah.
And as far as how prosperous we were then compared to now.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like you said, we don't have those theaters anymore.
Yeah.
Kimball only has the one. We only have the one, and we almost lost it.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly our prosperity kind of went down a peg.
Yeah, because at one point in time, Scotts Bluff had like half a dozen theaters. And they're down to the
Two.
Real Lux.
Well, one, if you really think about it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, one.
Real Lux, yeah,
Real
because
Lux.
Midwest doesn't show first-run movies. Yeah. So, it's gone downhill from its heyday. So the Lumco Theater opened on May 6, 1927. George Bell Lumpkin purchased 300 leather-upholstered theater chairs and 2 Powers picture machines with the intention of making his place the place for young folks. I hate
What a lumpkin.
I hate leather seats. I would have been angry about that. But I also get,
Back then, though, man,
Yeah.
that was pretty
And
swanky.
and even growing up in the 80s, it was like if you had a leather couch,
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. And again, you could still smoke in theaters. So, yeah,
Yeah.
like, get a nice, comfy leather couch and have a smoke. Man, that's where it's at.
Yeah. And I would imagine leather was easier to wipe down as well than the cloth seats that are there today.
Yep.
Yeah.
Until you put the cigarette burns in the leather, but,
Yeah. And that just made me remember those commercials in the 80s of companies selling stuff on late night TV, how to fix, cigarette burns in your furniture.
Yeah. I can only imagine how theaters, what they had to put up with leather seats and cigarettes. Like, oh, geez, like, forget about it.
Even in the 80s when I went to the theaters as a kid, there was like burned plastic and
marks
stuff,
everywhere.
they just swept it as best as they could, and then that plastic's melted, whatever.
Well, they didn't ban cigarettes in restaurants until after I graduated. I was actually in college during the very last of those bans, because I remember in Minneapolis, I think I was 19, 20 years old, and I was being introduced to hookah bars, which I've never
Okay.
heard of before, never even understood. I only thought a hookah was something that caterpillar smoked on Alice in Wonderland. I didn't even think it was real. I thought it was something that was designed for that movie. So over time, and your arrogance gets lessened. You get the education of these bars that have these huge, stacks of hookahs with all the pipes, and you're smoking them. And that was being banned in Minneapolis. They're all being forced to be closed down because it was considered still restaurants. And there was a huge, huge fight over that because it was like a cultural thing. Some of them weren't restaurants at all. Some of them were just bars. And, was it bars and restaurants? Because at the time, it was bars, too, that was being subjected to it. So, yeah, it was a big scandal. So I remember when cigarettes finally got the heave-ho.
Yeah.
And you couldn't go to even places like back home in Scotts Bluff, like Sherry's. Used to have the smoking, non-smoking. All the diners had that.
Yeah, well,
And you don't have it no more.
When I moved here in 2007, though, Sherry's asked when we walked in, smoking or non-smoking,
Yeah.
and my husband and I were like, "What? Did we just
Sherry's,
step back in time?
no,
What?
Sherry's held out because there was a clause in the rules that the bosses didn't have to necessarily uphold it. And I think Sherry's for the longest time held out. Eventually they did cave.
Okay.
They did. Okay. But because right when the laws went out, it was up to the owners.
Oh, okay.
Not so much the law. The law had, basically, you have to take the time for the law to crack down. But
yeah. And I remember in New York the law was I think it was restaurants, but bars were allowed to still do it, and then people just went nuts when they changed the law that you can't smoke in bars anymore either. Oh, we're gonna lose all this business, and that
was the issue.
And it just
here
didn't happen.
Too. It was a big back and forth, and eventually, you can't do. Which I personally now, as an adult, I'm not against. I enjoy people not smoking in restaurants and not bars. I smoke. I don't mind having a cigarette, but it should be outside.
Yeah.
It's in well-ventilated rooms. You shouldn't be doing it around children or old folks. I just cringe in my childhood just remembering the haze of smoke in places like the Country Kitchen or the Millstone or Denny's and stuff like that, just a haze. And all those kids just eating pancakes, not giving a damn, just inhaling it away.
And they'll put that on a plane. I have flown on planes where smoking was allowed. And it didn't matter that I sat in the non-smoking section. You're on a plane.
You're on a tube.
It's going to get you.
Oh, and thank God smoking was long banned before I ever got on a plane. So,
it was not fun. And it was very strange. The first time I flew to the Netherlands was over Christmas break of 1993. And there was no smoking on my plane. But I landed in the Netherlands, and there's a faint whiff, and I'm like, okay. I didn't realize people were smoking in the airport, and then my friends went to this technical college, and I'm not going to get into explaining that they're still legit schools. They're just hard science, computer science, and I went into their cafeteria. Floor to ceiling haze, and I start sneezing, and my eyes are watering, and they're like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's just the smoke." I'm like, "Get me out of this room."
It's crazy to think about, because back then it was so common. Even when I was a kid, I grew up. I never guessed it twice until I was well beyond my teenage years. It's like, oh yeah, you can't smoke anymore. You can't smoke in these places anymore.
Yep, go outside and smoke. So back to the theater. At the time, shows were 10 cents and 30 cents. A 1-cent candy special was offered on the 6th and 7th of May. Buy 1 pound box fancy chocolates for $1.25 and get a pound of chocolate cherries or fruits and nuts for 1 cent. So they had those stupid sales back then too. Buy this crap and get the second one for a penny. We're 100 years ago. They're still doing those sales. Well, they're successful. That's why they're still around 100 years later. The first movie played at the Lumco Theater was Love in Sonia, starring Gloria Swanson. I don't know if I'm old or not, but I recognize all of these actors' names. Yeah. Mrs. M.B. Darling managed the theater for Mr. Lumpkin. Special pictures and music was by Davis and his Black Derbies. The Lumco Theater was located in the Lee Building, which was the north half of Duckwall's, or what is currently the Decor Store. George Bell Lumpkin, owner of the theater, had a modern delicatessen shop in the lobby. And I love that Nebraskans call it a delicatessen because, it's just a deli, man.
It's not as funny as some people. There was a reporter pronounced it slowly on the news. It's like, we have a new restaurant here, and it's called Delicatessen. It's like, wow.
Okay. There was also an up-to-date large Revelation iceless soda fountain and several booths for a soft drink parlor. High-grade candies and other things in that line were also sold. I want to know what high-grade candies were.
I would consider those things that were produced by what would be now like the Mars what was the Mars Candy Company, what now is God knows what, Hershey's, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
it was a major candy
the major
store.
brands.
Candies, not like whatever Uncle so and so made in the
Yeah.
back for the children for today's
Like-
showing. these are licorice wands, kids. Trust me. Don't ask me what they smell like or where they came from.
It's like when I moved here in town, it was about a year later, I think, after I moved here. My time might be off on that, but that Taco Town place. If you gave the right order, you didn't get tacos. You got cocaine. So
No, no methamphetamines after. Actually,
oh yes, there was meth
it was
as well.
meth.
Yeah.
You had to get the right order for that.
Yeah,
though, you know.
yeah. There were special orders for whatever it was you wanted, and they eventually got busted because
They did. They're reopened though now.
yeah.
So I have to go back and see if my orders still
And-
work.
And I went there when I first worked here. I'm not going to try that. I would get a legit order. But people told me to go eat there. And I was like,
awful
and I'm like,
food.
it's awful. And
It's
then
the
they
most
told me,
terrible food in town.
and then they told me, oh, well, if you don't like that, you will definitely like Taco de Oro. Okay. No, that was crap too. It's really hard to find good food. Because most of the Mexican restaurants in town here are family run with family recipes, and it's like I will never eat somebody else's meatloaf because my mom had this awesome meatloaf recipe. That's what I grew up with. That's what I expect when you make meatloaf. And nobody makes meatloaf like my mom except for me. And it's the same with I grew up with a certain type of Mexican food in New York, and you don't get that here. So it's
yeah.
I mean,
I
granted,
yeah.
some places are just terrible food, but then other places they just don't make it the way that I'm used to it. And so I will say, I give Indian food credit because I've eaten Indian food all over Europe and all over the U.S. and I know when I order a specific dish what I'm getting because it's usually made by Indians who immigrated, so they're making it right. Anyway, back to the theater that does not serve Indian food. So the Lumpco Theater also had an up-to-date large Revelation iceless soda fountain and several booths for a soft drink parlor, high-grade candies, and other things. I just read that. Oh my God, Connor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On December 27th, 1928.
Oh my God. See, this is what happens when you get me all distracted. We ain't making that hour and a half mark. We're going over. And now I lost.
Here. That's it.
Completely lost the page.
Right here.
Okay. On December 28th, 1920. And I'm not cutting that out. I don't care.
We're keeping it.
We're
damn
keeping it. On December 27th, 1928, Lumco ran an ad bragging about their talking pictures. And L. Schrader leased it from July to December 1929 and billed it as the new Lumco Theater and that it was the coolest place in town. Marie Goodhand bought Lumco and took over ownership on January 1st, 1930. According to the Goodhand Theater's website, the Fox movie tone was taken out and silent movies were to be shown there for a time. In the January 23rd issue, it stated Lumco Theater closed until better weather. It appears the theater never opened again. At the time, I guess nobody wanted silent movies anymore. At the time in Kimball, movies cost 25 to 50 cents for adults and 10 cents for children. Special movies were billed as listed. That money today is $4.85 to $9.70 and $1.94. So 10 cents is about $1.94. So it's getting cheaper as time goes on, but we're not paying that war tax. So
Yeah, I guess that's the thing. It really was that war tax.
Yeah.
Kind of. Because now we're in the roaring 20s in between World War I and II.
Yeah. So license plates from cars on the first opening day, Sunday, July 21st, 1929, showed cars from all over the country as well as Colorado stuffing both theaters. I also want to note that we are not doing stories on them, but there were theaters in Bushnell, Dix, and Potter, as well as just over the border in Pine Bluffs, Wyoming. But honestly, it's too much. I will say the Dix Theater was at one point in time planks borrowed from the lumber company, set up in the street, and the movie showed on the screen.
That's a good point. What constitutes a movie theater?
Yeah. And it became just so overwhelming that I thought this is never going to end. And so I had to stop with what I have. Because again, we thought this was going to be a 3-part series, and it's an 8-part series. And I can't do 10. It's
Can't do anymore.
It's just
done.
Too much. In case you didn't know, America had a lot of blue laws as well. This meant restricting services of most kinds on Sunday because you're supposed to be in church and then just reflecting on God all day. It happened in my hometown, except the department store was called Playtogs, and the owners of Playtogs basically said, "Fine, we'll pay the fine because we make so much more money." And they did. That's how they fought the blue laws in New York. And Playtogs doesn't exist anymore. It's just briefly, it was a store for poor people like me. And, you buy a pair of Wrangler jeans, but the legs might be off by 1/4 of an inch. Like one leg is 1/4 of an inch longer than another.
So it's kind of like one of those, what gets off the stock, like the places that don't make it. Yeah.
Yeah. And there was a jewelry store there. I went to school with the owner's sons. And they did have some high-end stuff because my first Walkman came from there and my mom had to pay for it on layaway. But that's the kind of clothes that you got most of the time. And the closest I can think of today is like a Ross or a TJ Maxx.
Yeah.
And, we got made fun of if people knew we shopped there, but no one's measuring my pants. They don't know that it's, 1/4 of an inch shorter than the other leg. Mm-hmm. I knew. And if you saw them hanging out on the clothesline, it was obvious, but it's what we could afford. And we weren't naked, so that's really all that mattered. But Playtogs made bank on Sundays. And I'm just using this for example, I don't remember the fines, but it was something ridiculous, like it was $5,000 every Sunday you were open was the fine, and they were netting $25,000. So they're like, all right, we'll pay the fine. We're still making money that we didn't used to make. And so those blue laws happened here. You still run into them occasionally, especially states like North Carolina who have ABC stores because the state liquor board controls all the liquor stores. And so you're not going to be able to buy anything on Sunday.
And we have the up till noon.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that has religious connotations anymore.
Or not anymore. It did.
Anymore, I know it did. But anymore, I really, if it's just kind of a bygone era thing that no one has thought is such a bad thing to repeal. Even I don't really have any effort to repeal it because it doesn't do anybody any harm. Yeah. It's not like you're not restricted all day. You just can't do it till noon. Which to me is like, nothing wrong with that. And get over it, guys.
Yeah. And when I came to college in '88 in Lincoln, within the city limits, you couldn't buy at all on Sundays. Yeah, and so everybody
Minnesota was like that.
We just drove to Waverly.
That's what we do in Minneapolis when I was in college. It's like, Wisconsin's just across the way. Yeah. It's like if we really want to get drunk on Sundays, but most of the times we didn't. Most of the times we did all our fun Friday and Saturdays, and by Sundays we were recovering.
Yeah. and if you did, you just thought about it Saturday night and got stuff before midnight.
Smart. Yeah, you're smart about it.
So, so the blue laws hit Kimball as well. And I want to read to you from the Good Hands website again. The mayor and the city council did not take part in the Sunday opening. The theater managers said they would continue to stay open unless legal action was taken, and the matter was referred to a special election. So the mayor and the city council were like, yeah, no, we're not going to go to the movies on Sunday because it's Sunday. That's God's day. And the theater basically said, well, we're going to be open anyway. Take us to court if you need to. So they had a special election. In December 1929, the city council called for a special election requesting an ordinance to allow movies to be shown on Sunday. So they were opposed to it, but I'm guessing folks had some off-topic conversations with them. This election was held on January 21st, 1930, and voters rejected the ordinance 314 to 147. Lower voter turnout due to zero weather makes light vote was in the news. So again, it's divided. Are we going to go or are we not going to go? In my opinion, if somebody wants to work on Sunday and somebody wants to see a movie on Sunday, we're all good. It's the same with when I was in Tanzania. It's I don't want to say half, but close to half Christian, half Muslim. And so you just make your accommodations for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because Muslims follow the Sabbath, sundown Friday to sundown Saturday, and then the Christians got Sunday, but you still have your stores and your shops open. You make the accommodations, you figure out how to make it work.
When I was in Zurich on a Sunday, most of up until almost 2:00 in the afternoon, nothing was open. I guess if I grew up that way, I guess I don't question it or fight it. It just is how it is. And it's not, again, I go back to it's not bad to take that break. Mm-hmm. Whether you're religious or not, I don't think it's bad necessarily just to let that break happen for your own benefit.
Yes.
It's not going to help. It's not going to hurt you as a secularist to take those breaks. Just let it happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's people that you can make your money and all that, but there's money to be made. I mean, I don't know.
And my Sunday, if you want to call it that, tends to be Thursday. I just chill and don't do anything. Yeah. But I encountered the same thing the first time I went to the Netherlands in '94. I'm not quite sure how it is today. I have not been to the Netherlands in a decade now, a little more than a decade. But when I went in 1994, the folks I was staying with, they were very religious. They went to morning church. They went to afternoon or late afternoon church, and they did not cook either. You had sandwiches and whatever leftovers there were, you ate the leftovers. You couldn't put the leftovers in the oven or in the microwave. Yep. You couldn't watch TV. You could read a book, but I just they were a little too religious for me, and it drove me a little bonkers. But it does give you time to just step back away from things and reflect. And so for me, that day just happens to be Thursday. And I give myself the option that if I think of something to write, I'll sit down and write. But in general, it's just kind of a day for me to chill out, maybe read a book, maybe watch a movie.
Yeah, and I think it's always your right as a business owner. Being one now myself, I reserve the right to tell my customers that, no, I'm not going to serve you today.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I have to think of myself as much as you guys, and I can't serve you guys unless I think of myself too. So,
Yeah.
To be polite, piss off.
Yeah.
It's like, if church is how you do that, good for you. But
yep.
I think I would be closed on Sunday whether I didn't go to church or not, because it's just like I just don't want to deal with you guys right now.
and you tend to work a lot on Fridays and Saturdays, so it makes sense that Sunday is your day that you're like, I need rest.
Well, in restaurants, if you notice, a lot of restaurants in a lot of major cities are closed on Mondays.
Yes.
Because Sundays they get the church crowd. Sunday's still there for the business, but Mondays, that's their time for them.
Yeah, that's a great example. Yeah. Growing up in New York, most restaurants were closed on Mondays.
Because it's your slowest day.
Yeah.
You're not making that much money.
Yeah.
And Sunday you are making money, so why not be open? If you want to be religious, make Monday your religious day, or if you want to be secular, all the better. Yeah. Monday's your day off.
Yep.
It makes it so much easier for scheduling too. Everybody has the same day off. Does a lot for morale. So you're not always But anyway.
Yeah. That's way off topic. Anyway,
we're getting into like workers' rights here. Yeah, don't get me started on that.
Oh yeah, we could talk forever about workers' rights, but we're going to go back to the Good Hand Theater. So all goes well from there, and Marie Goodhand buys the lots where the theater is now, and on December 1st, 1945, she closes. She closes the deal on the theater, and then she closes the American Theater and opens the Good Hand Theater on May 6th, 1954. If you look at the building where the American Theater was today, it definitely had to be small. The best I've been able to approximate from other information is that there was a little over 300 people that could fit in the theater, but again, I don't have any accurate definitive numbers. Apparently, the original dressing rooms and stairway remain in the basement, indicating live shows, and the letters AMER can be seen on the floor of the foyer in that building to this day. So Money from Home, starring Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, was the first movie played at the Good Hand Theater, and it seated 418 people. According to the May 8, 1954 Motion Picture Herald, Marie Goodhand is this week opening her new 400-seat Good Hand, Kimball, Nebraska theater. It will take the place of the old America, which will be remodeled for other businesses, which is exactly what happened. The list of other owners are Virgil and Mabel E. Stolley from 1965 to 1971, David L. Corey, 72 to 84. So those other folks that I had mentioned earlier apparently owned it just before he bought it. Marianne Wynn, James J. and Sharon L. Huff, Wally and Susan G. Winstrom, John Phillips of Popcorn Theaters, Inc., Terry and Amy Sorensen from 2000 to 2010. The City of Kimball and FKI 2010 to 2016, and currently the Friends of the Good Hand. The theater closed in 2011 at a time the theater seated 215 people. It reopened May 6, 2016, showing Money from Home, which, if you remember, was the first ever movie shown there. So when they got done, the Friends of the Good Hand, when they were able to take over the theater and start it all, they were able to get a copy of the very first movie that was ever shown in the Good Hand. So that's what they showed upon reopening. Movies are shown today on the first and third Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of each month. And I want to read one last time from the Good Hand's website. The Friends of the Good Hand have received several grants and many donations from individuals, businesses, and organizations that has allowed the Good Hand Theater to have its lobby and bathrooms renovated to resemble what the theater looked like when the theater was opened by Miss Marie Good Hand in 1954. The theater's acoustic fabric has been replaced, and the 63-year-old heating and air conditioning systems have been updated. Since then, our patrons can enjoy a climate-controlled viewing throughout the seasons. Even if you haven't been inside the theater to see all the updates that have been made, you can see the new awning and the LED neon Good Hand Theater sign that puts a nice red glow on our Kimball downtown street. To us, it represents the pride and determination of all Kimball and surrounding area residents that have committed to help in allowing us to show movies in our Good Hand Theater. Like the Midwest and the Scottsbluff, and hopefully soon the Nile and Mitchell, the Good Hand is supported by the generosity of others who want to preserve their history and have a place for entertainment and to gather together. If you ever go to a show at the Good Hand, remember everyone working there is a volunteer, and they played a small part in making your show available to you. So, all right, we got 3 more theater stories to tell. If you come back next time, they won't be as long as today. Today just happened to be the longest of them all because I really didn't want to split everything into a 9-part episode. I'm just like, I can't. But it's everyone loves watching picture shows, and if you're somewhere in western Nebraska, you should be able to find one. So I'm just going to wrap it up real quick here. We normally talk a little bit more, but we're already pushing an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So for this week, I'm Irene.
And I'm Connor.
And this is Storytelling on the Plains.